Hey Revolutionaries, I'm excited to bring you this week's episode with Trea Da Fit, where we're talking fitness. Yes, fitness focused on the entertainment world. So for actors and musicians and those types of people in the entertainment business, Trea has got a great story of how he's pivoted to personal training and it has been able to niche down and focus his personal training on this particular niche. So he's got a great story, and he's from Mississippi, so he's got a great voice, great sound to his voice and everything. So you're going to have a great time listening to this episode. But before we get there, real quick, I want you to remember you can go to JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com to find all the back catalog of episodes there. And of course, there's where you can download your 7 simple ways to prime yourself for reinvention. If you sign up for the email list, you can get that download free. So don't forget to go there. And also, don't forget to go to, linktree.com/JimJim99, I think it is. Hold on. Let me figure out what that is. Okay. All right, I found it. It's Linktree/JimJim99. And you know, Linktree is actually linktr.ee/JimJim99. You know how to find it. Anyways, remember to go to those spots, and let's get on with the episode. Here's Trea.
Welcome to Jim Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast, the show that explores reinvention in the digital age as it relates to career, creativity, and technology. Stay tuned for interviews with professionals, entrepreneurs, and creatives that have reimagined success and are making a pivot. If you'd like to listen to the entire back catalog, visit JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com for instant access. And now, here's your host, Jim Jim.
Hey everybody, hey, this is Jim Jim, and welcome to episode 123 of Jim Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. I'm talking to you today with Trea Da Fit, and we're talking about fitness. Yes, fitness for artists, entertainers, and creatives on the go. So, Trea, welcome to the Reinvention Revolution.
Hey, man, welcome, man. I'm glad to have me, man. Glad to be on the show.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you popped in here. We got Mississippi in the house today for everybody who's wondering out there. So, Trea's going to bring his flavor to the show today. So, look, man, when I came across you, I was very kind of curious and interested in what you're doing. So, I'm a saxophonist, and my background is in engineering technology.
Okay.
People that know this from listening to the show. But I do lots of things, and I know lots of musicians and creatives, and I figured out over the years that I was really more of a creative at heart, even though I was doing engineering. It was more, advanced development, creating things from scratch. And I feel like this is a real thing that's needed, and maybe not everybody appreciates that we're more on the go. So everybody's kind of coming from, I think, thinking about entrepreneurship in a different way these days. So that's a creative endeavor. But also specifically for artists and entertainers that are on the go. Explain to me what you're doing with fitness with these people and what's unique about their situation that you can address.
Okay. How I looking to help artists, entertainers, so that's specifically music artists, musicians, actors, and models, and other creative too is outside of that, and also people who's not in the creative space. I work with them well. I just wanted to put that out there. How we do that is via app I have, where they'll gain, no matter if they're at the gym or at home, and be accessed where they video clip-based workouts or video clip-based workouts that they can be able to do no matter if they're at the gym or home. So say, for instance, the person is at home, they may not have any equipment, or they might have little equipment. We can basically assess with either or, where it be body weight type workouts or look minimal equipment that they have, depending on their goals. And we'll make a routine based on that. And then, like I said, if they already in the gym, the app has like where it sets reps and time and so forth, so they can be able to know what they're doing and fully in everything when they get there. So the app lets me hold them accountable, where it lets me know if they're doing their workout, help me to schedule everything, make sure, everything's on the up and up. So if they have any questions, need any guidance, the whole nine, that's how we help them there on the fitness side. And we do nutrition too as well in the grand scheme of that as well. And what was your other question?
Well, I was just wondering, what are the unique challenges, maybe, so
Okay.
people that can kind of imagine in their
Okay.
mind if this could be right for them, or if they
Yeah.
know someone
Okay.
that you find with artists and entertainers or actors, people that like, hey, their schedules are kind of crazy,
Mm.
probably, and their fitness and maybe their even physicality look into if you're an actor, whatever, might be very important to
No,
them.
okay.
What are their challenges though in
Oh,
terms of how their lifestyles
okay.
are?
All right. So I would say what the type of goals I would help first, and then I talk about the challenges and stuff like that as well. If that's okay with you. All
Okay,
right. So
sure.
so the goals or that we helping with is bodybuilding, fat loss, boosting energy, toning, strengthening, and also performance enhancing. So out of those four I named, music artist, musician, actors, models, you can kind of think about the type of things that they go through. And what I found is, they are constantly on the road, got very hectic, demanding schedules. They pulled every which way. So they not necessarily able to, like, say if they would want to do something in person with a trainer or something or do something kind of at the gym. They not really, like, they might be stationed every 2 or 3 months, then they have to go back on the road again. So it's not really something consistent they can do for at the gym sometimes, depending on the person. And also, there is well getting a certain type of diet regimen in as well to help them around the goal. So they pull, like I said, pull a different way. They on shows got the food there or after parties and stuff like that. So they got a lot of,
Right.
bad habits
All the
that,
time.
and distractions that keeps them off track. But when you think of the music artists, they need that energy to perform on stage, and that's what eating right, fueling your energy, and working out to produce your energy and so forth does. And so in that manner, also if for a singer they need that lung capacity. So helping fitness will help greatly with that, and you and appearance. Some people depending on the music artist, they need a certain appearance that they have or a look about them. So just being in shape and looking good and everything is definitely their bread and butter too, is their brand. When we think about the musician, when they perform and so forth, they need that energy as well. They need to perform pretty good. Also, they need their strength up as well, because most of them are carrying their own equipment on set and everything like that. So you can look at it in those ways, and they constantly traveling. And we look at the actor to get certain roles, they have to look a certain way or perform a certain way. And so this to help them to get more gigs and roles if they are particularly struggling in a certain area. Somebody might want to look fit for an action picture, like you think of Marvel or something like that. And for the model, if they just starting, they want to look a certain way, depending on what type of model they want to be. And if they already kind of like established or ongoing or got some kind of gigs lined up, then they want to maintain what they have and so forth, and expound on that too as well. So those are a few things that we helping with that. So basically being able to fit it all in within their demanding schedules and stuff, like you said, on the go, where they are constantly dragged so many different places. Timing is of the essence, and they really can't. But they still need their health and their fitness to be able to not only help their well-being, but also enhance their artistry as well. Because the more they take care of themselves, the more they can be able to be creative. The more creative they be, and the more they can have a longevity in this thing too as well, because they are healthy because of it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, I think the thing you said is like their schedules are very inconsistent, but the thing that you can provide is that consistent, sort of person they can go back to, app that they can go back to, information that they can go back to. It's like, you can go along with them on the road. So that's kind of nice of the stuff that's available for all of us
Yeah,
now these days.
yeah, definitely.
It's like years ago, this was like a much bigger challenge, I would say.
Yeah. And like I said, definitely, because like I said, when I did in-person training way longer than I was doing it online, but it's catching up. It's almost like it's half and half now. But the things I run into, like I can already think about when artists and entertainers run into, like most times when you have to meet somebody in person, it might work good 2-3 weeks down the line or so. But as soon as that schedule change, some life happens, And it tend to be that the client think, okay, well, I don't have this time to do it no more, that I don't have no time. And then they stop doing it altogether. But see, that's not true. It's just really, they just have to navigate, realign, and see what's what. And with it being with the, you equate that to artists and entertainers, I'm in their back pocket. So wherever they go, I'm going, and everything. And we just adjust to what they're doing in real time instead of some stringent or rigid type of routine that they got to follow, because they lifestyle is not rigid or in a very structured manner, and everything.
I gotcha. So you're one of the few, I guess I'm sure there's more out there, but few that I came across that trainers that are focusing on this niche, particularly online in this way. I know people have personal trainers. You can find a lot of personal trainers for different reasons out there. But what I was wondering is, what's your connection to, artists, entertainers, actors, creatives? How did you find this niche? What's your background? It sounds like you have some music and stuff in your background that you like to do. And what's your connection to it? How'd you get focused on this niche?
Yeah. So first is when I first started, I didn't know what I didn't know. I knew how to train people, get people to a certain goal, but when it comes to the marketing side, the business side of things, I didn't know what I didn't know. So my general avatar, I would say, was really a niche, was like 25 men and women, 25 to 55, and looking to lose a little weight, gain a little energy, tone up a little bit, something like that. And going into it, the longer I've been doing this and so forth, other marketers and business coaches that I was looking into, they was always saying niche down. And I didn't really know how to do that until a little bit recently. And they were saying it's either what you are passionate about or what you are going, or what you have been through. So those are two ways to figure out your niche. Now, I had a previous knee injury or knee surgery, and that's something I could have talked about in equation to fitness and getting back out there. Once you sideline for a minute and then
recovering from injuries
and getting back on it. So I could have talked about that, but that wasn't something I was very interested in. So I went with passion, and so with passion is the creativity part. So I have been a person that growing up from 8, 9 years old, writing poems and so forth in school, the teacher noticing my works, telling my mom about it. And later on from there, I found out I can draw, just discovering myself little by little as I'm growing. And then after that, when hip hop kind of got introduced to me, because I come from a Christian background and raised in the church, my uncles, cousins, they playing instruments off ear, not really even knowing how to read the notes and stuff like that. My mom, she was singing in the choir, so I'm soaking all this type of musical energy up. And she was she's very crafty and can draw to it a little bit. So that's where that creativity comes from my mom's side of folks. And like I said, I was introduced to, like, in my teens with hip hop and so forth. That had me to, I can put these poems to a beat and so forth. And that later, like that kind of like spun where I wanted to, make music and things of that nature. And also acting. I had did a church play. Everybody was saying how good I did on that church play. And my sister was in the same place. She said, "Ain't nobody tell me nothing," and everything. So so that kind of sparked something. I wasn't really thinking about.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Definitely. But,
start to learn about yourself.
Right. And that right there is like, that kind of sparked something so in the back of my mind. So all those 4 things I told you is something I want to do. Modeling, that had came around in a time where somebody had asked me to I didn't do it, but they had wanted me to do, a photographer wanted me to do something in his some kind of theme he was going for and everything. And I didn't end up doing it because I had to buy clothes that I wasn't gonna wear, and everything no more after that, and stuff like that. So I didn't see at the time I didn't see the need, but I should have did. It started, I know that was that would have been really like an investment. But modeling, maybe fitness modeling or something like that, I want to do down the line. And then I said musician. Like I want to play the drums, I want to play the piano and stuff like that. Stuff I didn't really get to learn. Like my cousins and uncles, they didn't really teach us, but you was around there just playing with stuff. So
you're around it.
Yeah. So very, like I said, very music inclined. I'm the person that beat tapping in school and beatboxing and stuff like that. So I definitely very musical still, even without playing any instruments and everything. So all that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Going into where I think about fitness being a work of art, because you are sculpting your body inside and out, and and you definitely expounding on that and everything and so forth. So that's what came to be. I'm a creative from the core at heart from the start, and that I had made that rhyme, and but
can't help
right.
yourself.
but yeah, so that's what it came to be. So I like, okay, this is who I want to be and everything. And also I'm have started making music on my own, like started in like in a little bit in the pandemic or a little bit before the pandemic, and started making music. It's something, like I said, been in the back of my mind. I've been wanting to do for the longest. Just was really like, how my mama side of folks, like I said, my uncle a preacher, her mama, which is my grandmama, she was a preacher and so forth. So I was like, what would they think, and stuff like that. Like I just put it off the back burner.
Well, yeah, it's definitely consideration.
Yeah. So for a long time I put it in the back burner, but it was always in the back of my mind I wanted to do. I would do little things right here. Like I hear something that inspires me, and I write something to it and everything. It didn't go nowhere. Even made a jingle to my business as well. And stuff like that.
Oh, okay, cool. That's fun.
And I was and I was talking to my cousin, man. I was telling him, man, like it's a way that we can. It's a sector I see in the hip hop world or just in music in general that I can implement it myself in. And I was telling him about that, forward on the fitness side of things and stuff. He was like, man, you just want to rap, man. I said, I really do, man. And I just. Up until a point, man, I just said, man, let's go and see what's going on. Now, I haven't, I just thought to just go ahead and jump on it and go and start doing it. And so I have written quite a few songs and stuff like that. I can't enough to do an album or two, but I haven't recorded anything yet, because I'm like focused on the fitness business side of things. But definitely planning to get something out one by one, a little bit here and there until I can be where I can focus more on the music side as well. But was what got me into the niche. A long way to say how I got into the niche. And
yeah. Well, no worries, man. It's good to hear about where you're coming from, and I really appreciate you sharing this. This idea is kind of deeper concept of, in the entrepreneurship world of, well, you got your expertise stuff that you're really good at, or technical, or situations that you've been through that you could focus on. Or you have a passion that's like, no, I want to develop this. I want to move farther into this. And, you need something that drives your vision and drives your capacity to, stick with a business. So that's kind of a cool thing just to hear your perspective on and how you got into it. And of course, you have the core just affinity for music and arts and stuff in your background too. So that's fun how it's driving everything. But I want to rewind a little bit here, because I know that you weren't, you didn't, in your high school days, younger days, you weren't thinking I'm going to someday be a fitness coach, right? When we started talking the other day, you were like, hey man, I'm just working this warehouse job. I was okay in high school. I liked lifting, but can you explain kind of how you, kind of pivoted and reinvented yourself to come into this, business, this entrepreneurship world, really?
Okay. Okay.
Because that's kind of a mindset shift that everybody listening out there, maybe they might be interested in doing themselves.
I'm glad you asked it like you asked it too, because the entrepreneurship didn't really start right when I became a fitness coach or whatever. It started way earlier than that. Like I said, very creative person back then. When I was growing up, so my first like taste of entrepreneurship was when I was like, again, like I said, 8-9 years old. I guess this is when everything was burgeoning then. But my auntie, she used to, if you ever heard of the woman, the ice cup lady, and stuff like that around the corner and so forth. You ever heard of?
Okay,
Yeah,
sure,
okay,
yeah.
yeah. So she kind of like that. She was kind of like that person, like where she cooking certain meals and
Okay.
stuff outside her kitchen, and doing type of food,
Right, right.
little snacks and everything. And she also did that for the
Sure.
church as well, where
I was just gonna say, like, I would know it like as a church lady,
okay,
like, oh, she's always baking cupcakes or doing those
right.
little,
She would.
events and stuff
She
like that.
would. Nah, she had. But I can't remember her baking anything. Now she can cook now, but she since then passed
Yeah.
away. But she can cook. But when she was bringing to church, it was like
Yeah.
stuff she already bought, and she was just selling outside her
see.
trunk, and everything like that, and
Sure,
and everything.
sure.
So
Gotcha, yeah.
at the church, so that's when I seen that early on, like, okay, she's selling this and so forth. So I had got the idea. Like, I walked into the store one day, I seen these 3-cent bubble gum, right? And I bought all the bubble gum and
Okay.
everything. So I got this idea to sell it at school. and
Right.
and
Hustle started way back then.
That's what I'm saying. Came from her, and
Yeah, right.
and I like to say rest in peace, Auntie Bunny. And she so when I got the bubble gum, I took it to school and everything, started selling it for like 25 cents at school and everything. So at the time, man, a couple weeks strong, I had lunch money and everything. Like, no, don't worry about it, Mama, I got it. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so she ain't had to give me no money no more, to a point till people start finding out, and then they like, oh, you got that from the grocery store. And at the time, I ain't know no better, so I thought, oh, they found me out. Oh, they might just gonna get their own gun from here on out. So I just stopped after that. But
Sure.
that was the first taste of it. Then going into like going into like middle school. Another one, like I said, I found out I can draw and so forth, and well, not the drawing part, but the writing part. So got a very good handwriting as well, and so, and like I said again, away with words. When I said before, I have a different good at writing poems, literary type works and stuff like that, very descriptive and all that. And my friends, they definitely seen that too, and also, so what they was doing with their girlfriend, they was getting me to write letters to their girlfriend, and so forth. So, right.
Really? Oh man, you didn't tell me about this, man. I had
That's why I say I'm glad you asked that question.
Who knows what you uncovered during these sessions here, man? This is interesting.
Right. That's why I say I'm glad you asked the question. And so they would give me to do that and that. Now, what the kicker was, they got me to write it in my own words, like if that was my girlfriend. So I was writing straight from the head of how I would write and stuff like that and everything. And then,
right.
a couple times
they liked your style.
Yeah,
they're like, oh man, Trey's gonna get this happening for me.
And so they liked it. A couple times the girl liked the letters and stuff like that, so they kept coming back to me. So I was selling my writing. I was a ghostwriter back then. I didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? When I think about it,
yeah, right.
So.
Now, what were you charging back then? Like, what was that worth to your
It wasn't
friend?
much, man. About $2 or $3 every letter, and everything like that. Something like that. But or maybe like $5. I can't remember the exact price. But
wow.
Then it got to a point where like if they had their own words, they had already written it out. They just want me to write it in my own penmanship.
Gotcha,
and stuff like that. So I was doing that as well.
And you became an editor then.
And everything. Yeah. So
Producer.
Definitely. So that happened at an early age. So I was selling that. So that form of entrepreneur that taste of it though 2 times early on. So from elementary to middle school, didn't really like that. Later on, that kind of faded after a while. But going, fast forwarding a little bit and getting into the workforce and so forth, I always felt like I really didn't belong in the workforce.
So I want to ask you about this because, like you said, you said you were working, just working a regular job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like it wasn't dawning on you that those early experiences, it's not until you get out and start working for somebody else and you're in another job and, you may or may not like it. If you don't like it, then you start thinking about, wait a second, do I have to do something like this? Can I do this? And then you remember, hey, when I was a kid, I used to sell stuff. Like it kind of, it has like a little bit of it's a little bit of like a sunlight or idea that like shines in
Right.
into your brain there, and it maybe turns you on in a different way.
Mhm.
So how did that happen? How did this evolve for you?
Evolve into me being a coach, fitness coach. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that was it. Was that thing you started with, or did you have an idea what's something that you could do?
Um,
I mean, I remember you told me you were lifting, you were an
mhm.
athlete, and you were good at it. People seem to be like talking about you at the
Yeah.
gym or whatever.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't really, like I said, it was, I guess, like I said, I had buried that type of thought. Like, so I wasn't really even thinking about it as entrepreneurialism when I was in school.
Right.
And so later on,
Sure.
until I got in the workforce, like I said, a few years in, I was feeling like, especially when I was at Levi, but a few years in, I was feeling like, man, this working ain't for me. I wasn't expressing that, but I was
Right.
definitely feeling it. I think I got a problem, not necessarily a problem with authority for it's where the person tell me something to do and I go do it, but I have the problem with the abuse of
Mhm.
authority. So I kind of ran into that a lot of times, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, where the person,
Sure.
they authority over you or whatever goes to their head, and I always butt heads like that,
Mhm.
or it's something that I feel like
Yep.
it's that's very I'm not gonna say petty or small that that they kind of nitpick with you on. I got a problem with that and stuff like
Right.
that. So, but it didn't really like dawn on me until later on. Like I said, I'm 7 years in, close to 7 years in, about 5-6 years in, working at Levi's. That's where we were.
Mhm.
It's more so not where they made the clothes, but they were basically shipping and receiving plant where they get the clothes in, sort them
Sure.
out, put
Warehouse kind of
put
stuff.
stickers on them, package them back up, and ship them out to certain stores and so forth.
Yep.
And in there, like I said, at this time I have been working out pretty good. Started from like, let's say 19 to about 25, 26 when everything, this when a woman came to me at Levi's. She was like, man, you are already always working out so all the time. Why don't you ever thought about being a personal trainer? And up until that time, I didn't really think about it as much. And I was like, okay, let me see if there's something I can do. So I researched a little bit. If it's anything that I'm thinking about doing, I'm going to do some research and before I really just go into it to see if I'm doing. Then if it's something I feel like I can implement myself in, then I go into it. So researching it, looking and see if it's something I can do and wanting to do. And like, yeah. And then that's when I actually start thinking about the entrepreneurship then, but it wasn't really like wasn't prevalent until later. But thing is, which is a turning point in how it happened for your gym. Let me when
Right.
when I got started with it, I wanted to basically where I wanted to like work for a gym a year or two, and then from there branch out on my own. So that was the plan. I'm gonna branch out, get my feet wet, get some
Sure.
exposure, experience and stuff like that as well. People knowing about me and everything, and then I go out and do my own thing. At the time I'm here in Mississippi, I'm in Jackson, and wasn't a lot of gyms around my area. Now there's a little bit more now, still need to be more in my opinion, but it was hardly in it back then.
Okay.
And so the
Yeah.
few gyms that I did apply to wasn't really hiring and so forth, and so it kind of like got to where I had ended up at the YMCA, and the YMCA was like, well, we don't really hire trainers, but we do let trainers train here. So you just have to we want to be able to say we have a trainer without hiring them, and so to speak. So they hired me as they didn't hire me. Let's say they had me on as a independent contractor. So
They allowed you to come in as
right.
kind of
Yeah,
consultant to
yeah,
be a
definitely.
trainer
So
in
like,
your facility.
so I had to like wear, not necessarily had to wear their stuff. Sometimes I did, but yeah, like anytime they say we got a trainer, they just refer them to me and everything like that and stuff like that. And I kind of still represented the gym, but they didn't necessarily hire me. So all
Sure.
the proceeds went to me 100% and everything like that. I just had to be a member there. And then the people that I trained had to be a member there. So that was my first setup. So I was kind of forced into entrepreneurship early on. So I was like, no gym. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
right.
where I'm getting at. So the gym wasn't really hiring.
Yeah, maybe that was a blessing in terms of just looking back at it,
But
right?
well, yeah, definitely. I might have was still probably maybe like my prior experience being an employee under people. I probably would have
Yeah,
just
if you
stopped
worked
doing
for a
it.
bigger gym, you might still be just
Yeah,
working
yeah.
there.
I probably been just working there or stopping altogether, you know, and everything because I'm an employee or you know,
Right.
don't know how
Yeah,
that
right.
would have went. But yeah, so it started from there, you know,
Sure.
and everything. So I kind of forced to go ahead and get into it from there.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And expound. But you know, what they don't tell you is how to do the business side of thing, or even sometimes, and quite frankly, they don't how to really train somebody to get to a certain goal and everything. But you know, luckily I knew how to do
Right.
that part, but the business part, you know, you start learning that over time and you know, got to a point. So like I said, I would just throw it out in there to do it, and then they started learning from there or whatever. So that's how it came to be.
Right. How did you when you realized, hey man, maybe there's something here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I could build this to a larger business or make it more interesting for myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Who did you start learning from, or how did you start, you know, kind of opening your mind to this concept? Like you said, you had some mentors or maybe, or other people you found online.
Yeah,
How did you do it?
yeah, some mentors or business coaches here and there that I have then in some
Mhm.
certain groups. The majority of it is, and you know, and then on just looking at, you know, certain people who maybe have something on social media or they subscribe to somebody's
Sure.
newsletter and everything like that. You know, you kind of pick up certain
Right.
things along the way. And everything, but for the first few years and so forth, it was just really me learning on my own, and everything like that. Then later on, certain business coach not all the business coaches like yielded, you know, big results like I wanted to, but I definitely took something from it that helped me to expound
Definitely, yeah.
or to implement in my business in some kind of way. I did, and the best one that help me to go online, that I did was with John Goodman. And his
John Goodman.
John Goodman, yeah. And I did his online training academy. So that definitely helped me to navigate the going fully online
Okay.
and everything like that. So
Okay.
but yeah, so that program was pretty good and so forth. But like I said, Bedro Cooley and he was straight for the group model and everything. That definitely helped me get to a certain point and everything like that. But yeah, so over the time it just really like a lot of trial and error. Some stuff like I know I like this, I don't like this. I want to work with these people. I don't want to work with this type of people. You know, just really more so just finding myself, finding my style, finding who I want to work with, what type of system I'm gonna train in, who you know, what lane I'm going in, and so forth. So it was a lot of that, you know, and everything over the years. So all that compounded into me, you know, getting more organized and more structured towards how my approaches is, how I'm gonna help the client, and how I'm gonna support that client as well, and everything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I gotcha. Yeah, that's super cool. Well, it's definitely a journey, like going into entrepreneurship
Yeah.
and figuring it out, and no one can tell you exactly what to do. You got to really, at the end of the day, it's kind of it can be a lonely thing because you got to make all the decisions yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, hey man, this is people can give you all this advice, but it comes back to you at the end of the day of like, what am I trying to
Right.
do? Which direction should I really go in? What's gonna match up with my expectation?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, keep you happy and get enough revenue and all that kind of stuff. It's very interesting. Well, Trey, it's been great having you on the show. Before we get out here though,
Mm-hmm.
there's always two questions I like to ask people, and one is uh, specifically about technology. So you mentioned a little bit about finding your home online, how you did that,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you think about technology and being open to it and working, you know, more exclusively online these days? How do you stay open to it? How do you keep training yourself? Like, what, you know, can you give some tips out there to people that might not understand the power of being online, or you know, just haven't trained themselves yet up to do it, to deal with it?
Talking about for as a person that looking to be a client, or talking about on the entrepreneur side?
Okay, this is a good point. Even if you're looking to be a client,
Okay.
I think most people maybe still their first gut reaction is like, I got to go find my local gym, and they're driving
Mm-hmm.
around, you know, or looking online to find the local gym that they want to go talk to someone in person.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, hey, I could find a trainer online, and they could be in the Philippines. It doesn't matter, you know,
Yeah.
like but it's, you know, there's something about our mindset, I think, that limits us or keeps us closed off to some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you're someone that's embracing it, so it might be good to hear from both sides, either a client side or if you're a business person and you're trying to lean in and trying to do something new about how to tackle and train yourself to be an online business person.
Okay. All right. So let's see which one I go with first. I will go with the client side first.
Okay.
Now, to each his own for us, like that person looking to start on their fitness goals and achieve a certain goal they're looking to go towards. Now, everybody maybe not be able to fit into the online space and everything for us at start. So if a person that's very brand new to the gym or working out, then like say if they want to go to the gym and so forth, they may not know what they're doing in the gym, and then at that point you probably do need a trainer in person starting off, where they are where they're telling you how to, if the trainer doing their job, if they like that said like that, if the trainer doing their job, they are teaching you what to do, and not only what to do, why you are doing and what that works and so forth. So it gets to a point where once you know all that, then you pretty much good, and then you can kind of like fall back from that trainer. That trainer can be like, we'll just meet up once a week, and then the rest I can do online, and we can do online because you pretty much got it. So it's really to a point of the trainer doing their job the right way, and you know what to do, and you get, got to a level of comfortability. Then what I'm saying, it just motivation, because after that it's just motivation. Once you know what to do, you know what to do, and you should be able to motivate yourself. Because I always try to tell people that I can't want it more than you. So I can motivate you, but you got to want it more than I want it for you. So if you only wanting the trainer to be there to motivate you, then you probably won't reach your goals too much outside, because you only meeting that trainer 30 minutes to an hour, and then that's not to equate the rest of the 24 hours, 23 hours or so before you in time. So, but with that said, the online, like they say, starting out, like I say, they very beginner, depending on what it is, then they maybe need to start at the gym. But let's say, for instance, they are going to the intermediate to the advanced type of thing. They know how to work out. They know certain ways what this particular machine do, what these weights do, and so forth. But they don't really know how to get to a certain system. That's another thing that online will help them in that manner, where it can benefit them better in that way, so they don't necessarily have to have the trainer there to do everything. Also, other things that I found out too with it being online, is very more for the still going on the client thing. It's more where it, like, again, when I was talking about the artists and entertainers, when they move, people tend to move and so forth. The trainer can go where you go, or like if the trainer's saying, "Oh, well, I'm finna stop training," or "I'm finna move," or whatever. Those are problems I have heard with other people. Online helps with that. It mitigates that or whatever. So the timing thing. Oftentimes I have had clients fall asleep, don't make it in, don't even message you and say I'm not coming and stuff like that. Don't show up and everything like that. So it eliminates that obligation to meet the training, because you're doing it on your own time. So if a person pressing for time, needing something like accessible and everything like that, it helps in that manner. So especially with your schedule is going up and down and everything like that or whatever. So online helps in that manner, because you are doing it on your own time.
Right. Yeah, you can do it on demand in your time. And then there's some reasons why to go to a trainer in person to begin with, if you don't know what you're doing, and just get that hands-on education first of all. But then you can take more advantage of being in the online space. That's cool, man. Okay, well, what about for the entrepreneur side? If you're
so
like trying to lean in, trying to start your own business or grow your business.
I'll start with this, man. Like, just knowing what you are, know who you are as a fitness coach. If you are going into the fitness training lane, what speak to your personality. Don't just go into it because you think it's more better online versus in person, or vice versa. Go into
I see. Okay, good point.
So go into it, what speaks to you the most. With the go online, it is a little different, since it's than it is in person. So, and some would say it's harder online than it is in person. Where you gotta like really market more than you would do have to do in person and so forth. So you gotta like really go down into a niche and stick to that niche and talk to that person or talk to that group of people. And
right.
And so like going into the online space doesn't mean that it is lesser work. It's definitely still work, and everything. A lot of folks go into it, I'm gonna work lesser. No, it's still work, maybe even more.
No, it's still
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So into the space. So just think about it like that. If I'm answering your question or whatever, when you're going into the online space, and then make sure when you're going into it, you have a certain business model and plan in place. And when you get into that, so you'll know how to market and everything, instead of you just posting stuff online, hoping it will stick and everything like that. So you got to have a plan.
Hope's not a good plan. Hope is not a good plan.
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah, that's cool, man. Well, that's words of wisdom, I can tell from your experience of thinking it through for yourself, and so it's good knowledge to share with people. So, Trey, I got one final question for you before we get out of here, and that is, I call it a reinvention revelation. So, can you share something with the audience that you've learned about yourself, or about business, or about technology along the way that can help someone, maybe further their own journey as they go through their own process?
I'm a
reinvention revelation. Like, what did you find out? Like, I had no idea what I was gonna, what I had to get into.
As I keep going into this and everything. I'm being a creative, being an artist and stuff like that. We kind of like, in a sense, want things to be perfect. And I would say everything don't have to be perfect. Your ducks don't have to be aligned to start. So you just start, everybody don't start at the top or being very good at something. You got to grow into it. So I would say with that thinking, it definitely helped me to, reinvent myself and everything in a lot of lanes, stories that we haven't talked about here today, but we definitely, every time I look back, it was why I stopped or took me a while. It was because of things that I thought.
Interesting.
It was things that I thought like, oh, well, I'm not gonna be good at it, or what they want with me, and something like that, and everything. So
right, it's how do you get good at it?
Until it start, or I'm thinking it need to be one way before I even do anything. I need to have all this together, then I'm gonna start, and that only leads to inaction and going forward. So
that's right.
I would say in that. So you keep, the only way to reinvent yourself is to get out there and put yourself out there. Go for your dream, go for your goals. Regardless of what you thinking or anybody else say, and everything. Then once you start doing it, you really like think it is not as bad as you really thought it was, or is
right.
The more you get into it, the more you get better at it. And people like come to you, man, you look like you do this and everything, or you look like you this, or like you, and you were like, man, if you only know where I started from, and stuff like that. And, it looks like, how they say you make it look easy and everything like that. But like,
yeah.
So like, I mean, but if you only know where I had started from to get to this point, and everything. Right. So that's what I would say in more of
oh man, well that's
good.
Those are more words of wisdom, man.
Mm-hmm.
You remind me of something of kind of along the way. I'm sure this has happened to you, where it's like, even the people around you, when you're trying to do something new, really reinvent yourself, the people around you are kind of like, they might make fun of you, or they don't think, oh, he can't do that, or whatever. And then you start just taking the steps, and literally like 6 months later, they start looking at you differently, like, oh yeah, he does this now. Oh, he's that expert. How did you get so good at?
Yeah.
It's like their total concept of you flips in their own mind.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the challenge that you have to take on within your mind when you're starting.
Right.
It's like, yeah, you're not going to be good when you start. You got to just start, and then you just grow over time. If you really have it in your heart to do it, you'll do it.
Most definitely.
So very cool, man. Well, thanks, Trey. Thanks again for being on. If people are interested in finding you online, or working with you, or signing up, any actors or entertainers out there, musicians, creative people that that you might reach out to Trea, how would they find you?
Well, they can first find me on my website, www.nextworldfitness.com. So everything's spelled correctly, NEXTWORLD fitness.com. And all my socials is there on that site. But if you just want to know what socials I'm on TikTok, Trea Da Fit Artist, TREADA Fit Artist. And Next World Fitness on Instagram, Facebook. You can find me at Trea, TREA, Trea 86, or you put Trea Cotton in. I'm on, and those are main ones I'm on, and stuff like that. They can find me if they're looking for my services and so forth.
All right. I'll have those links in the show notes. You can always find them there if you're listening to the podcast. And once again, thanks again, Trea.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for listening to Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. If you want to hear more, join our mailing list at jimjimsreinventionrevolution.com. See you next time, and remember, the revolution has just begun. So dig in, embrace the process of reinvention, and start realizing the success you've always dreamed of. Hey, revolutionaries, if you enjoyed today's episode and today's guest, let them know by commenting on their Facebook page, finding their Twitter handle or Instagram feed, and letting them know you heard them on Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast, and tell them what you got out of the episode, what you really liked, or how they inspired you. I know they would get a kick out of it, and will help others find the same value that you found.